And here we go. Welcome to the Wire to Wire podcast. As always, it's me, your host, Yusuf, joined by my co-host, Jordan. All right, we got quite a bit to unpack here. We got to talk Lakers, man.
Hmm.
Right now, they've been having a very strong start to the season, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic is playing incredible basketball. Austin Reaves has really emerged as an all-star caliber player. They have a
Hmm.
good 1-2 tandem going on right now. And then you have DeAndre Ayton, who at times can seem a little bit inconsistent, but overall is showing an improvement, from previous seasons. So it's been pretty impressive. What do you make of them so far?
I think this was always going to happen, especially early, right? We saw the offseason with Luka, skinny Luka, as I guess they trademarked him as, and he's been putting a lot of work in the offseason and it's showing in the regular season. And I guess I'm not surprised about that. Again, Luka's again a top five player in the NBA. So that being said, whatever team he's on is going to definitely be a team that's going to get some wins. And Austin Reeves, I guess, is where I'm a bit more surprised about his performance. But again, he's been in around players like Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Luka for a bit, and he's just again, it's just has shed off on him, right? He has that same type, I guess, work ethic. He sees how LeBron puts his effort into the game, and Luka and his craft. So I guess it's just feeding off onto him. So I'm not surprised that his game is definitely elevating and he's stepping up to the task. But again, it's early on in the NBA season. The NBA, again, it's a long season, right? There's games that teams do care about, like there's games that teams don't care about, right? Uh, the NBA Cup game was yesterday, and we saw key players sitting out, right? I think that's somewhat of an issue, right? If these NBA Cup games are supposed to be the games that are extremely important, and just in terms of them getting into, I guess, the playoff of the NBA Cup or a top two seed in the group and making it to the next round of the NBA Cup. You would want the stars to be playing, and we don't kind of see that. And I really don't think there's much focus or attention on the NBA Cup, if I'm being completely honest. But that's just my take. Yeah, not to go too much off of the Lakers.
Yeah, but I think the Lakers' success, to be honest, well, so far this part of the season, I think really comes down to three things. So I think number one, it shows Luka Doncic and his ability to make his teammates better. All we've heard, especially last season, was, oh, the Lakers don't have enough pieces. They don't have enough. They were first round
Mhm.
exit against Minnesota. And then all of a sudden, he's making it work. And he's brought that next man up mentality to the team. And I think he does make his teammates better because even to see a guy like Austin Reeves become the player that he is, I
Mhm.
can guarantee that if the guy from Akron was playing right now with the team, Austin Reeves would take a huge step back in his performance and development. So I think it's a
Yeah.
testament to how he plays the game. And I think another thing too, and I have to give credit, is JJ Redick. Now,
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't stand him as a commentator. And I always thought he had like this arrogance to him, which by the way doesn't change. But I
Yeah.
even question his coaching ability because I never thought Darvin Ham was that bad. But he's actually proven to be a good coach working with what he has and maximizing the skill set of a guy like Luka and also a guy like Austin Reeves. So I know it's early in the season, like you said, but I'm very impressed.
Mhm.
And I will say this, right? This is a bit of a hot take, and we have to see how the rest of the season progresses. But
Mhm.
if things continue to progress the way that they're progressing and Luka continues to play at the level that he's at, I am very comfortable saying that this version of Luka Doncic that we're seeing is better than any version of LeBron that we have ever seen in his 20 plus year playing career. And yes, that includes his first stint with the Cavs, his time with the Heat, his second stint with the Cavs, and his time with the Lakers. Yes, I think if it continues,
You're trying to get clipped up, huh? You're trying to go viral.
bro, listen, honestly, I was thinking it, And then Kwame Brown beat me to it by saying it.
Mm,
But he's not wrong, bro, because all we've ever heard throughout his career is that he doesn't have help. He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have help.
mhm,
But you look at how tough this Western Conference is, and you look at what he's doing with the team that he has right now. And like I said, I put a prerequisite on it. If he can
mhm.
continue throughout the season doing this. So let's just say this team somehow wins between 50 to 54 games in this Western Conference. Do you think if LeBron was at the helm, they would do that in this conference?
No, I don't. But the thing with LeBron is looking at his career, it's always going to be the longevity component of it, right? You're not entirely wrong. And then if you look at Luka again, face value, right, for what he's able to do. And then if you compare it to LeBron's career, I mean, yes, LeBron had his highs, especially in Cleveland and Miami, where you can compare it to Luka's highs in Dallas and now with the Lakers. Uh, Championships came out of it with LeBron. If championships don't come out of it with Luka and his performance, then the narrative kind of shifts, right? And your point is kind of deflated if it doesn't result in anything because it's just regular season wins in the NBA, but it doesn't lead to successful playoff runs, right? And we haven't seen it outside of that Dallas run where we made it to the Western Conference Finals. We haven't seen much of that with Luka. Um, and again, unfortunately, we may not see it when your boy from Akron comes back into the lineup. It may mess up things, and it's interesting that you say that, especially the relationship with LeBron and Austin Reaves, because we all know that viral GIF or meme where LeBron's whispering something into Austin Reeves' ear, and he strikes some fear in him, like, "Whoa, what is going on?" And he's just looking puzzled. That's the kind of intimidation that LeBron instills into his players, where Luka, again, he's more of a lead by example type of player. But from what I've seen, right, he's gonna put in the work in terms of what he's done in the offseason and coming into this season. And it's building up the morale of the team, leading to the 9-4 start. LeBron, again, in recent years has been much more of a diva, wanting more of the attention, the spotlights, whether it's talking to the refs, complaining, and all his theatrics. Yes, we do see that in Luka as well, but also recently we've seen Luka as well back it up. LeBron, we've seen it as well because he's LeBron and he dominates the ball. Um, but again, we're at the tail end of LeBron's career where we don't know at this point, right? He didn't play this season, so we have nothing to speak on in terms of his performance and what he's able to bring to the game in his 20th season. So again, I'm not mad at the hot take. Overall, I'm not mad at it. But I just again, it's a hot take at the end of the day.
But I can substantiate it. We don't have to get too much into details. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be a LeBron versus Luca episode, but I
Hmm.
will say, and if it ever gets people triggered, I don't mind doing a follow-up episode
Hmm.
substantiating. But
Yeah.
the way he plays the game, right? He's a better all-around team player. He makes the guys around him better. He's a better shooter. He's not as athletic or as quick, but he has better footwork. He has a more all-around skill, like he has a better array overall, his skill set. He can play
Hmm.
off the ball better. To me, he's a better passer. So I'm talking more so as an individual player. If I'm building a team, I'm taking this Luca over any version of LeBron. Me
So
personally.
if we look at, sorry to interrupt, but if we look at LeBron that Cleveland year when he brought Ilgauskas and those guys to the NBA Finals against the Spurs, I guess that'd be a good comp to Luka right now, somewhat. I know it's quite early in LeBron's career, um, but they're
I would
both
s-
young players.
I would say those Cavs teams were better, to be honest. And the reason why I'll say
Hmm.
that is
Mm.
Ilgauskas
Then
wasn't
then Luke then
Ilgaus
Lucas is Dallas's teams.
yeah, but Ilgauskas
Yeah.
wasn't a slouch. Like this guy
No,
was an
not at all.
all-star in 2005. If you
Hmm.
look at that run, he played with Boobie Gibson, who scored 31 points in that deciding game against the Pistons. Like everyone looks at what happened game five. No one looks at what happened game six when he was
Mm,
struggling and Daniel Gibson had to score 31 points, who was leading the team in points that game and ended up winning them that series. And if you look, he had Larry Hughes, who was
hmm
at that time considered to be a good two-way player, right?
Yeah,
He
Mo
was a
Williams
great
as well, right?
Mo Williams, he got drafted the same year. He didn't really blossom until the
Okay.
2008 to 2009 season.
Okay.
But they had Danielle Marshall, who at that time
Mm.
was,
One
I
of the
think,
best 3-point shooters.
one of,
Yeah.
yeah, at that moment in time, he was tied with Kobe Bryant for most threes in a game at 12. And I'll never
hmm
forget, he did it against the Sixers, which pissed me
hmm
off, but that's
Yeah.
neither here nor there. So they
Yeah.
had a solid team. And to be honest, the only reason why they lost that year to the Spurs, people can say, oh, he didn't have help. No, it's just LeBron didn't deliver. They sagged off of him and dared him to be a shooter, and he couldn't make buckets when they needed it.
Yeah. He
So,
was he was very raw back then, right? He was
yeah,
very
so
based off his athleticism.
this idea that he carried a bunch of bums and stuff, like it's a narrative that if you hear it enough times, you start to believe it, but actually go
Mm.
back and look at that roster, look at how much points per game those guys were averaging. It was they were great help for the league at that time and the way it was constructed.
Right.
So I don't know if you sag off of a guy like Luka, he's gonna make you pay.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of guys they try to really D him up, but he has such great footwork that he manages to somehow blow by his defenders, and he's not using
hmm
crazy athleticism or quickness. So I'm talking individual basketball player versus basketball player. Luka
hmm
has what people call a bag.
Yeah.
LeBron doesn't really have that. It's just he's going to use his athleticism, his speed, or his power, lower his shoulder, and get to the basket. That's really all he brings to the table.
Mm.
So that's really more so the lens that I was coming from by me saying that. But
Yeah.
overall, I'm very impressed with how this team has started off. And
hmm
I think also, too, there's a new sheriff in town. And
hmm
now with their new ownership, who's I believe is under the same ownership as the Dodgers.
Mm.
They're gonna
Yeah,
be
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah, so they're
Because
big on
Magic's involved, right? Yeah.
yeah, so they're gonna be big on winning. So this idea of a player handpicking his teammates and doing this, those days I think are done. I
hmm
think this season is an evaluation season on how Luka fits with these pieces. What are the pieces that they need? And then either try to do some trades to go for it or try to go as far as they can and then maybe retool the roster in the offseason. But the signs are made very clear. LeBron is
Yeah.
done. He's done.
Yeah. To shift more to Luka, right, and kind of put the LeBron aside, because again, he hasn't played a single minute in this NBA season. What will it take for Luka to get that MVP? Because we see Joker playing on a high level, coming off that Clippers game where he ended with 53 points, I believe, and he could have had 70 really and truly if it wasn't for a blowout. And we see Shea, the reigning MVP, doing what he's doing with the OKC team, looking like they're destined to return back to the NBA Finals. Um, what would it take for Luka, as good as he is playing, to be in that MVP conversation?
I think he's on that path right now.
Hmm.
I think if he can continue to play at the level that he's playing at, and then he can give this team a top four, maybe top three seed in this Western Conference. I think he's right there in that conversation. But you're right, it's going to be a tough race because just when you thought Shea had an incredible season last year, now he's coming back and he's having an even more incredible season.
Yeah,
And Jokic is doing Jokic things. I think the thing with Jokic that's going to be kind of tough to assess is that eventually, when you're so great for so long, it kind of becomes a standard.
yeah.
Fine with you want to give someone else a chance.
hmm
So I think this year can actually be a very compelling year for a guy like Luka to actually win MVP this year. And I think if he can continue to do the things that he's doing, be available, get them a top three seed, I think he gets it this year.
I think the issue comes up, and sorry we have to bring up this guy again, is the return of LeBron James. I think the only way that I guess my answer to this to my question was the only way that Luka can be in that conversation if LeBron's not in the conversation. I think once LeBron comes back and the spotlight is naturally going to shift to LeBron. As much as he may take a back seat, we know how much he loves the game and how he likes to be involved. So he's not going to be there sitting on the wing. He's going to want to be involved and get on the ball and um, ramp up into shape, right? So that's gonna kind of take away from Luka, and as well, it's gonna lead to the load management games where Luka will sit out a few games here and there. LeBron will play, and they'll mix and match different lineups, right? We know that's the NBA that we currently operate in today. So I just don't think he can be involved in that conversation being tied to LeBron because have we seen an MVP ever be on the same team as LeBron if on LeBron's team. You know what I mean? So I just don't think it's a possibility.
Yeah, he doesn't. No one has ever won an MVP being his teammate.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, I think there's a new sheriff in town, and I think if, to be honest, I think the Lakers are done with him, and the fact that they've already put him to practice in the G League, I think shows that they're ready. I think they want to make it so untenable for him that he's no longer gonna want to be there. That
Hmm.
he's gonna probably ask to be traded himself.
Mm.
And I think he's probably going to have a certain number of teams that he wants to go to. And I know he holds that no trade clause. But
Yeah.
I think the Lakers are going to make it so unbearable for him that he'll be desperate. He'll be so desperate to be traded anywhere. And
Yeah.
I think with this new ownership group in place, and I think the fact that they've extended JJ Redick and he has that vote of confidence, especially if a guy like Luka is rolling, the Lakers will have no problem making him come off the bench or relegate his role so much that he doesn't get in the way of what Luka is doing. I think now he finally has an organization and coaching in place that's not afraid to stand up to him. And he's not
Yeah.
going to carry that intimidating presence that he used to carry, where guys are scared about getting traded, that he has the ear of ownership and the executive level and the coaches. I think those times are done. And I
Hmm.
think that's even why he's in the G League and why he's behaving the way that he's behaving because he knows he doesn't have the pull he used to. So they won't let him get in the way of what Luka's doing.
Yeah. Fair enough.